Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 190 Dead Spirit Corpsemancer. While Su Chong and Mu Lin were having their own ulterior motives, the two of them quickly rushed over. When they saw that Su Chong and Mu Lin had yet to obtain the treasure, their nervous hearts finally relaxed. Then, they looked into the stone cave and saw the cauldron on the stone platform. They couldn't help but be startled. What kind of joke is this? This pill furnace was left behind by an emperor cultivation. Mu Lin was anxious and couldn't help but curse. In his imagination, the treasures of an emperor cultivation should be piled up like a mountain of monarch crystals, and there should be a huge amount of spirit weapons piled up randomly. However, the only pill furnace in the cave had shattered his imagination. After hearing Mu Lin's furious curses, although Su Chong remained silent, he couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Something that had been kicked in the head by a donkey. This pill furnace was no simple thing. Just by looking at the carvings on the surface of the pill furnace, it was enough to tell that this pill furnace was definitely not an ordinary item. Its value was definitely not below that of a mid-grade heavenly core, or even higher. Don't be anxious, Regiment Commander Mu. Who knows, there might be some other secret passage in this cave inside. There might be countless monarch crystals inside. There might even be a lot of divine weapons inside. Chen Rong's eyes flickered, and he looked at Mu Lin with a smile. Mu Lin looked at Su Chong and Chen Rong and sneered. Don't treat me like a spear. If there is really something good, will you stop? Chen Rong smiled and did not say anything. Su Chong, who was beside him, thought for a while and said, Commander Mu, it is too much to say. You know, we have been in Black Sand Castle for many years. We have long developed a habit of being cautious. Besides the mechanism in this tomb, we didn't encounter any other traps during the entire process. Therefore, he was worried about the cave, which might be a fatal danger. However, it was also possible that there was no danger at all. I wonder if Leader Mu would dare to take the risk. Su Chang's tone was indifferent. As he spoke, his eyes were still fixed on the pill furnace on the stone platform. He was also thinking about what to do next. After listening to Su Chang's words, Mu Lin frowned. He began to hesitate. What Su Chong said was the truth, but being in the tomb of an emperor cultivation warrior still posed a huge risk. Just as Mu Lin was hesitating, he suddenly heard the footsteps of Lao Zhen and Su Chong coming from the corner behind him. Immediately, he gritted his teeth and tossed the hesitation in his heart to the back of his mind. The origin monarch ki in his body surged out wildly, forming a layer of emperor ki armor that could be seen by the naked eye. After which, his body moved and he charged into the stone cave. Before 3rd Company leader Li Zhu could say anything, Mu Lin had already rushed into the stone cave. Lao Zhen and Lao Zheng, who had just arrived, saw Mu Lin enter the cave. Lao Zhen's gaze immediately shifted from Mu Lin to the black pill furnace on the stone platform and the few brocade boxes beside it. No, we can't let that bastard Mu Lin beat us first. Seeing that Su Chong and Chen Rong did not intend to enter the cave immediately, Lao Zhen was confused. Lu Zheng, who was behind him, whispered in his ear and then moved. Before Lao Zhen could stop him, Lao Zheng had already rushed into the cave. Mu Lin carefully entered the cave and stepped onto the ground. The expected danger didn't appear. The entire cave was extremely quiet and lifeless. Mu Lin was overjoyed. This emperor cultivation warrior's tomb was really too easy to break into. He just didn't know if the price of the items inside could be compared to the huge amount of money spent by Black-Scale Mercenary Group to buy the heavenly core. He heard the sound of Lao Zheng rushing in from behind. Once he found the treasure of an emperor cultivation warrior, the first thing he wanted to kill would be these two from the Lao family. It would be best if he could get rid of the other 4 monarch emperor warriors here. In this way, he wouldn't be the only one in charge of the Black Sand Castle. Seeing Mu Lin and Lao Zheng walk into the cave safely, Su Chong couldn't help but furrow his brows. Could it be that he was being too cautious? When Chen Rong saw this, he could no longer suppress the greed in his heart. He took a big step forward and was about to reach for the few brocade boxes on the stone platform. Swoosh! Just as Chen Rong's hand was about to touch the brocade boxes, a sound of rushing wind that caused one's expression to change suddenly sounded. Immediately following that, several black Genki shot out from a bronze coffin tomb behind the stone platform. The Genki were as fast as lightning as they flew in a disorderly manner in the stone cave. Chen Rong's expression suddenly changed, and he decisively gave up on the brocade box that was right in front of him. With a flash, he left the stone cave in the blink of an eye. In the next moment, a black stellar energy cut through the spot where Chen Rong had been standing. A deep crack appeared on the ground. While Chen Rong was barely dodging, the other few stellar energies had also closed in on Mu Lin and Lao Zheng. The faces of the two who had reacted instantly turned pale. Without any time to think, they quickly used their movement technique, the monarch's skill, and fled out of the cave. Arg! As Xiao Yan was moving forward, he suddenly heard a shrill cry of pain coming from the front. After that, Lao Zhen's roar immediately rang out. Xiao Yan frowned, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help but reveal a trace of a smile. It seemed like the second master of the Lao family had suffered some serious injuries. A joyful thought flashed across his mind. Xiao Yan raised his brows again. Since it was Lao Zheng's voice, it meant that the few people in front of him had already gathered together. There were 4 Monarch Emperor level expert guarding his body and he was injured. It seemed like the mechanism in front of him was even more dangerous. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but speed up his pace. In front of him, Cao Ying also sped up when he heard Lao Zheng's scream. Second brother. Lao Zhen pounced forward and caught Lao Zheng, who had luckily rushed out of the cave. He looked at Lao Zheng's left arm, which had been cut off by the gang Qi, and his eyes were filled with anger. His calm expression had long been replaced by ferociousness. Although Lao Zheng had survived, his left arm had been cut off by the gang Qi. The pain that pierced into his nerves caused him to feel dizzy. Blood kept flowing out from his broken arm, and he almost fainted. Although Lao Zhen was furious, he still had some rationality. He took out a jade bottle from his storage ring and poured out a handful of white powder. He pressed it on Lao Zheng's broken arm. The explosive pain caused Lao Zheng to let out a miserable cry. Due to the pain, his entire body was trembling, but the blood on his arm had stopped flowing. He held onto the wound on his chest that was so deep that his bones could be seen. Mu Lin's face was somewhat pale as he looked at the unconscious Lao Zheng. Enduring the intense pain, Mu Lin also took out a handful of medicinal powder. He gritted his teeth and smeared it on the wound. Even he could not help but roll his eyes at the burning pain on his body. Chen Rong wiped his sweat and couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Looking at the dissipating gang Qi in the cave, he let out a breath with lingering fear. Su Chong looked at the cave with a serious expression. If these gang Qi were the mechanism that protected the cave, then it would be too terrifying. Even the sovereign Qi armor of a monarch emperor could be easily pierced through. He believed that even a true emperor cultivation warrior would find it very difficult to deal with. Dong, 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 dong. Just as the few of them were silent, a loud sound came from the bronze coffin behind the stone platform. Then, under the shocked eyes of Su Chong and the others, a person whose body was almost invisible crawled out of the coffin with difficulty. After that, there was a second person, and then a third. The 4 mysterious men who looked exactly the same had disheveled hair, long black hair reaching to their waist, and a stiff expression on their faces. Their pupils were only white, and there were no clothes covering their bodies. Their bodies turned illusory, as if they had no physical souls. The 4 of them stared at Su Chong and the others outside the cave, and the whites of their eyes gradually turned red. When the 4 of them climbed out of the coffin, Cao Ying just happened to appear. When he saw the 4 of them, his facial expression changed instantly, and his voice trembled as he shouted, "Undead corpse guards." Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.